Arjun, Diksha, thank you. People joining now. Hi, Radhi, how are you?
Hi, Robert. How are you? I'm so sorry I'm a bit late. I just parked my car.
That's okay. We can reschedule a little bit later if that's more convenient as well.
It would be, I think it would be good if we maybe start at that extra 10 minutes will give me time to get in and park.
Yep, perfect. I'll I'll change that for our next meeting. But it's great to see you. I have a few more team members here, and we've made I think, a lot of progress. So it's we've had a really fun week. We had an on-site, so you may have seen we're all wearing hats and we got polos made up. So we're looking, very more so much like a team.
Yep.
I sent some more shirts and polos to my other team members. There's 8 of us, so we're looking good. We're looking the goods.
Excellent. That looks very nice to see some of your team members, Deeksha and Ashley, I suppose.
Yep. Yeah, we'll probably have another 5 or 6 people join, and the guys are great. Feel free to ask questions where you may, but they're keeping me honest when it comes to our innovation challenge statement, preparing out the articles for proposal, and making sure that I'm hitting my marks and my goals for my mentoringship with you as I mentor my summer interns. So it's various layers, and it's really cool.
Fabulous. So where have you got to with the innovation? I think this week is the deadline for the innovation challenge, isn't it?
That's right. So we have got our growth and innovation challenge statement together. So it might need, I might just say that where we're going to be at after this conversation. I'll send it over to you tonight for commentary. And we're
Yeah.
just looking at some of our success criteria
Mm-hmm.
and, trying to build that up. Thanks to Adrian, he sent one over to me just before. But would you like me to read out the innovation challenge statement?
That would be good, or even if you could share your screen, if that's a possibility, then
Yeah,
we could look at the same thing together.
yep. All right, you can see my screen, okay?
Yes, yes. Just have to.
All right. Yeah, so just building it out, and please course correct me if it's on the wrong path. But so we're a cyber news production company. It's our goal to create a community and bring public awareness to the cyber industry. Our vision is to be the largest cyber news production company in the world by delivering relevant information that's easy to consume, digest, and if necessary, take action upon. It is our mission to fill the cyber news gap by bringing relevant cyber news to everyone's news feed. It must be presented in and tailored to your demographic, where anyone of all ages can consume, digest, and take action upon, whilst understanding why cyber news is relevant to them. So currently, we're posting other people's content to create an online community, and if we can help one person be safe online, it's considered a win. Hypothesis is to collect open source content and use that content to create videos using machine learning and computer generated imagery to present artificial intelligence, deepfakes, and avatars designed and tailored to your demographic. So I've got working capital, COTS, and a deepfake editor there, but looking at like an efficient way to pull the data using RSS feeds or emails, and thoughts around using as a supercomputer or quantum computing to, speed up that crunching and push that out to our various people. So I don't know if it's a machine learning problem, an artificial intelligence problem, or a CGI problem, or a problem we don't even know we have.
Hmm. I like what you've written. Absolutely. I think the initial part sets the context of what you're wanting to achieve. Um, I think it is predominantly a combination of, it's a machine learning problem because AI is just machine learning on steroids. And CGI, of course, again, I think it is a machine learning problem because you've got to learn your audience's demographic. You'll have to do some analysis to then feed that into a some sort of a model, and that model will generate the deepfake, or so it's all machine learning, I think, at the end of the day. uh, from the text analysis to know what the content is, to being able to modify it to suit the age group, and present a script that will be relevant to the age group. And then, so all of it is quite kind of, everything has to do with some sort of date, some sort of intelligence that we want the algorithm to have. So there, I guess there are a lot of questions that come from that, but it's underlying a machine learning AI. They're all sort of same.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think it's people don't even understand what's going on out there in the cyber world, and that cyber touches basically everything in our lives. So, um,
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great initiative, great idea. So with this statement, um, so I think the first part is just writing the. Is it about writing the research questions? What does the exemplar ask you to do in that part?
yes, it's so if I look at the template says our innovation challenge. Can we develop software which would be attractive to the mining industry? So our statement would be, can we create software that would be relevant? And it's very hard to identify which and what demographic. The content that tells me at the moment, it's between 18 and 44,
Oh,
58% male and 42% female. So it's not really going after a specific demographic, even though I think you're leaning towards from the evidence that, hey, we got this group over here, but the content that we want to create can be from ages, as I said, 8 to 78, but maybe we just focus in the mid round, the middle of the um,
mm.
data sets that we're seeing at the moment. So
Robert, if I may suggest something, and maybe you can take notes on this and run it with your team and see if this is even what your company wants to do. But if I look at what you're trying to achieve, um, there are a few, like in order to accomplish the goal, there are a few, what do I say, building blocks that possibly need to be developed. Would you be happy for me to share some thoughts I have on it?
yes, please. Yeah, yeah. I'm happy to do some reading and some research and look into it.
Yeah, so I think, when just from my understanding, um, what I understand you do is, like, for example, there is a news item that's come out, maybe that we're going Google, and let's say the FIDO Alliance has decided to do away with passwords, and they're going to use biometrics to have you log into LinkedIn or Instagram or all of these social media. Let's say that's the news item. Now, um, it, you goal of you, I guess, your company, and correct me if my understanding is wrong here, but the goal of your company is to take this piece of information and now present it, and of course collate all the people who are reporting these things, put it all together, and create a single story, if I may say so, or a script.
That's right. Yeah.
But that script is tailor made for different age groups. Would that be right? So what you would communicate to an 8-year-old would be different to what you would communicate to a 40-year-old.
Yeah, and we've also got the philosophy of keeping it simple. So there's a lot of people who write blogs and information that's extremely technical. So
Mhm.
my audience I don't want to be hitting the audience of the technical person because they're already in IT and they understand really what's going on in the industry.
Yeah.
But it's really, you know, your mum and pops that don't have that understanding, and it's really trying to get that information across to them in its most simplest form. And that's where I come back with the mission and vision statement where they can, you know, digest it, you know, consume it, and then be able to do something with it. But yeah, you're exactly right. So the 8-year-old's going to be different to, you know, the teens, and the teens going to be, you know, different to the young adult.
Fabulous. So that's kind of the like that's one of the like problems. So what we need to do is formulate that as a question. So an example could be how or what's the best way or what are the approaches to assimilate different news articles about a particular topic and then create a simple story or a simple script uh, with uh, maybe maybe a subtopic of that is how can we modify the script to suit different age brackets.
Yep.
So that would be kind of one question that you would have because that's one of your tasks that you're trying to
Yep.
achieve.
Yeah, I think well, YouTube do that at the moment where they've got that option to go, hey, is this video content created for kids? And it's more hydraulic, but it's moving towards that.
Hmm. So yeah, I'm just throwing things out there so that you can get some ideas, and you will know your product better. Uh, but I hope like the thoughts I'm throwing out can give you some ideas on how to formulate the question. So the research questions are always better when they are, instead of it's a can we, good research questions will be how can we, because that's a more discursive, I mean, it's a more deeper analysis rather than a yes or a no result. It is more what are the different approaches, this approach versus this approach would be, I guess, giving you a better outcome because there may be different approaches to do things based upon your need.
No, I like it. I understand what you're saying as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, how can we deliver cyber news for young adults? How can we deliver cyber news for grandparents? How can we deliver cyber news for teenagers? How we can deliver cyber news for children under 10?
Yeah. In fact, I think there's one more basic question. Maybe you have an answer to it already. But what are the characteristics of cyber news which is easily digestible and understandable to a non technical audience?
Yeah, and this is one of my interview questions I actually have for everyone.
Mm.
It's like, how do you explain a technical problem to a non-technical person? You know,
Yeah.
and it's you really have to break it down to its most simplest form, and it's back to the KISS methodology. Just keep it simple.
Hmm. So, do you have a framework of what that kind of simple messaging looks like based upon your research and survey data?
No, I don't have a framework. No, it's just something that I think I've been doing without. No, there's probably a framework out there, but I don't have something where I can readily pick something up and go, oh, this is the framework I work towards.
Hmm. That might be worth studying, or maybe asking a question. What frameworks for communicating a message in a simple, easily digestible manner are there? It might be worth maybe just having your interns explore that question as well, because that will give you an idea of what the uh, final script that your AI or uh, your deepfake is going to speak and going to share.
Yep, I just wrote down some notes.
I'm sure there is some literature in the communications uh, sector, where language and communication. I'm sure there's some research, there must be some published research and work done. There may be some results of surveys where people have said survey different kinds of messages and, report it on what is more easily understandable. So there's a space to, maybe there's an area of research that
Yep.
someone could take on just to get an
Yeah.
answer to that. But that could be another, sub question that you're finding, and you can ask. I think is it Tony who is reviewing your documents?
Correct.
You could ask Tony if that's something that you could add to your research questions, or should it just be mainly with, because I think that's an underlying question, because we find the framework, then you can tell your machine learning model or your AI system what kind of output you want from it.
Yep. Yeah.
And
And I think with this 10-week program as well, I really want to have a narrow problem I'm trying to fix. Just when I was in doing my postgrad, every time you went to create a solution, you end up trying to save the world. And so then you get scope creep and then you're like, well, where am I? So I think I've got to have that really narrow problem and just focus on that. And I'd love to solve that problem in various languages as well. But I think only focusing on, English has to be the solution for now. And because I think last time we spoke, we talked about incorporating sign language with the CGI deepfake, but that might be the secondary or even down the path a lot further. Okay, I'm fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
What else was I thinking about? So, I guess one of those questions is, what's the structure of a good message that is digestible? And of course, the other questions you ask, like how can you present that to a specific demographic? So once you know this good message, how can you then, what's the best way to format it for a 10-year-old or for a 40-year-old?
Yeah.
Is there much in that, or is the simple framework good enough for every age group? We don't know yet that answer.
Yeah, and for us, it's making it relevant to them. So if Target gets breached, but they don't shop at Target, they're like, well, why does it bother me? But if they eat Wheat Bix, like the #1 cereal in Australia, every day, and something happens to the Wheat Bix, or the price of wheat's been manipulated by a nation state, well, then that has that effect. So it's making sure that the content is relevant to them. And a lot of the information that we have on the phones of like metadata, you're also getting back. So it's like a social media, pushing marketing articles to you on your actions, what you do on the phone. So yeah, very, very similar to that. So it has to be, I think, both ways.
Good. Has that given you some ideas about like formulating the research question?
I do. I don't come from a research background, but I'm going to definitely put something together. And if I set it over to you, I might be able to see it. You might be able to point me in the right direction, or if I'm off the wrong track. But we just have one of our success criterias, and on our on-site, actually on Saturday, we spoke about, what does success look like to me, and Ashley's on the call at the moment, and we might touch base after this, but Adrian just sent me over this, it's very similar to the template, but identify a need for cybersecurity news in social media industry, create a disruption in the space that is incredible niche, and the other criteria measure what might be licensing the content to mainstream media.
So how would you know that you have created a disruption in the space that has an incredible niche? How would you measure that?
Yeah. How do you measure it? Like, how did Netflix measure what they were going to do to Blockbuster? Did they sit down and go, hey, this is an idea. Wait a minute. this is a really good idea, or did it naturally just occur? And I feel something what I'm sitting on, and the direction I want to go is that market disruption. Now, how do I measure that? I don't know. It's like a gut instinct, intuitive, but it's also understanding what's happening in the industry. So it's a, or I could be completely wrong. I don't think I'm wrong, but how do I measure it? I don't know. If there
Would it
are,
be a number of subscriptions? Would it be like you have to measure? Um, would it be certain number of subscribers in 9 months? Would it be certain number of, like, there has to be some metric to know you've hit that measure. Otherwise,
yeah,
you won't work towards and track.
yeah. So we are tracking measurements on engagement on social media
Okay. Yeah.
from posting other people's content. Now, does that going to mean we're going to have a market disruption like the Netflix feed blockbuster? I'm unsure. But to
They measure
create,
it cap. So how many,
yeah,
like, how many of their subscribers went up versus blockbusters.
well, Blockbuster is non-existent now. So
So
that
in that phase.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I guess people didn't really understand the streaming services.
Mm,
And when you come to the way we're used to watching news content, and consuming it, this is
yeah.
going to be completely different. So it's
Yeah.
that
Robert,
it's
think of what
it's
would
that problem
be.
that people don't even know yet.
Mm. So maybe put some thought into how you would measure what disruption actually means, and maybe a good question to ask would be, how did different technologies, did they measure disruption in some way? I'm sure someone has done that kind of research before. So if there are any measures of disruption, then you can ask, like, that could be a question to find out what would be the concrete measures of disruption, which then you can use to track how your company is faring, and then it can help you course correct as well if you're not getting the traction that you need.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. And I use an example. I've got a friend here, and his company spent over $12 million in research and development. And I asked what was the final result. He goes, I'd
Hmm.
rather have the $12 million in my hip pocket because it didn't deliver us anything. And so these are the building blocks which you're getting me to think of and look at now. So we're not going to go down that route of putting good money after bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tracking your outcome, I think it's really nice that they have a criteria measure, because something that's measurable for you, for example, if your measure is, we have a clear framework for, because you're asking these research questions, you want to have an outcome relevant to your research question. So for example, your first outcome, if your research question is what is the framework, or what is the best framework to communicate the message, you could have a measurement criteria saying a clear framework to communicate messages to different age groups has been found, and your target date is
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
9 months. Then you know whether you're making progress towards that or not.
I know how big of a problem this is. And so
Mm,
my business plan, I've got it down in 36 months.
okay. Okay.
So but I do like to break it into smaller pieces that are manageable. So it
Mm,
is maybe a certain demographic by a certain time, and move it forward.
yep. Yep. Great. You could use some of those as your measurement criteria. And I think, your what you could study is also market disruption. Like, what are the measures of market disruption? Uh, because then you can decide your, I guess, dissemination strategy to align with the best. disrupting mechanisms.
Hmm. No, that's great.
And then if you're asking more technical questions, you could have, I mean, if you're, I don't know how, because it's just a 10-month project, there's a lot of things you could do in these 10 months. And I guess you'll have to decide what's the most productive or the most important outcome for you in these 10 months. Sorry, 10 weeks, 10 weeks.
Yeah, 10 weeks, and we've got 7 to go. So
Yeah.
it's going to be intense.
Correct.
But look, I know it's top of the hour there for you, but I say thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure to see you on screen, and your words of wisdom and advice is extremely. It's a lot. It's a lot for me to digest and understand and get the research questions together. But thank you so much for your time, and feel free to drop. And if the interns want to stay on for a quick recap, please do. But again, thank you.
No worries, Robert. I appreciate it. And if there's anything that I'm sharing that is not relevant to where you're taking the project right now, feel free to stop me, because I'm coming from a very sort of research background. So hope that whatever I'm sharing is useful in some way to your.
It definitely is. So on our next week's meeting, do you want me to push it back by 15 minutes?
That would be lovely.
Yeah.
If you could, I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course we can.
Okay, wonderful. All right.
Great.
Lovely rest of your night. I think it is night over there, so enjoy, and I'll speak to you next week. And please feel free to cross if you feel the need.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
All right. Is everyone still there? Everyone dropped? Oh, you're still there. All right.
Yep, I'm still there. I just wanted to know about the app. Um, if you have time, maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, if we can finalize, like, if you have anything other in your mind, you can let me know about that. Or I really want to devote my time in the uh, app for CNL, but I would be able to start on that once we finalize app builder. But the second part is, if we don't finalize app builder, then we need to start develop the app on Scratch. uh, I have around 3 years of experience, and I felt that I really want to um, utilize my experience, but I feel that I don't know it would be possible for me to build whole app single-handedly. So I thought that if we can get some help from someone who can guide me on that, that would be good. Or if we can opt a app builder, then I would be able to continue on that.
So would this be a possibility? So with Visual, we're getting the website rebuilt, but using a specialist on Fiverr. Would you like to identify someone you'd like to work with on Fiverr?
Yep.
Do you think that's the best course of action? Or do we want to sit down for a couple of hours every day for you to create the project? Or do you just want to project manage it?
You probably know that how we work in a team while working in certain kind of company. So we have proper equipment, like we have proper a tool for building the code and for building the application. And I mainly developed application using Spring Boot, Java. I mainly did API development. So building an app single-handedly, I feel that I'm not sure I would be able to like complete it on my own or not. I may
Okay.
need some assistance because I have very few experience on working on front end part. So
Okay. So how about this then? We'll engage someone on Fiverr and we'll create a project to build an app.
yeah, yeah,
You'd like that? Because
yeah,
I'd love to have you then lead that project. So you run it, you engage with them, you provide feedback, course correction,
yeah.
and have it developed.
Yes, yes, I would like that because in that way we would start developing something. Uh, that would be good.
Amazing, excellent. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Now, would you like to search Fiverr for someone you'd like to work with?
I would search that if you can assist me, like how I can do that.
Okay, I'll send you some links and
Yeah.
we can go from there. But
Okay.
yeah, and it might cost a little bit of money, but I think it'd be worth it in the end.
Yep. Yep.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you so much for staying on, and I really hope you enjoyed the CSIRO
Yeah.
Innovate to Grow session.
Yeah. It was.
Radhika, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Bye for now.